Most entrepreneurs want money, but they avoid their numbers. They're afraid looking at the truth will confirm their worst fears. But here's the reality: clarity quiets fear. And today's guest, Anastasia Ristovska, is here to show you how to turn your numbers into a tool for growth, not stress. Welcome to the Self Trust Solution, the podcast for entrepreneurs, leaders, and high achievers who are done second guessing and ready to execute with clarity. I'm your host, Dawn Leday, the Self Trust Coach, and each week I'll help you build the one strategy that makes all others work: self trust. This is where bold goals meet grounded action. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Self Trust Solution podcast. Today's guest is someone who brings calm to what many business owners consider chaos: finances. Anastasia is a seasoned finance pro with over 17 years of experience, the founder of Books at Ease and Next Generation, and a passionate educator on a mission to help business owners grow with clarity, not stress. She's helped over 50 U.S. accounting firms, trained more than 100 professionals, and she's here to help us stop avoiding our numbers and start using them as a tool for confident growth. Anastasia, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dawn, for having me. I'm really excited for being here today with you and talk about not very popular topic, money and finances, but obviously we need to pay attention to that very carefully if we want to run our lives and our businesses smoothly. So glad to be here today.
It's so funny, isn't it, that it's something everyone wants. They want money, they want profitability, they want cash in hand, but so often they avoid looking at it. And you talked a lot about knowing your numbers. And it's interesting, right? Because we do see that often people think that if they look at it, that they're going to see something bad. That's sort of their reaction. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. That's the case with many people I worked with and I'm working with. And it's normal from one side because money and making profits are some sort related with some sort of your existence. And it's normal to be scared, to be afraid how I'm performing, what I'm doing. But the other thing which is very important is that if you put aside something, it doesn't mean it will disappear. So it's here. You need to face with, to focus on, and to find a solution if there is a problem, because avoiding things and putting the things under the carpet can make the things even worse later on. So yes, most of the business owners, especially when they're at the very beginning of their business, they're focused and excited on different things like making sales or talking with their clients, making some plans. But if those plans are not supported with financial strategy and cash flow and basically forecast what I'm going to achieve during the next quarter or next year, then it can be very dangerous. And I've seen that so far many times.
Yeah. I mentioned to you that one of the contracts that I hold where I have clients where we look at their actual books. We have a team of bookkeepers and we go into their businesses, and not looking at it doesn't make it go away. But also there's this sort of fear around it that clarity sometimes quiets. And so I find, well, and tell me if you see the same. Well, a lot of people are afraid to look at it because they're afraid they're going to confirm their fears, their insecurities. But sometimes the numbers actually quiet the fear and insecurities, because when you get a clearer picture, whether it's what you want or you don't, have a better idea of the path forward.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. So the first thing that I see is that most of the business owners I'm working with, they're great in what they're doing. So they're great in their job, in their service, or the product they're offering. But very often they're not very into the finances, and that's okay. But one thing that is important to mention is that if you want to be a good business owner, if you want to run your business on a long run, then you need to work a little bit on your numbers. And yes, what you said, that fear that what I'm going to see, I won't like it, it's okay. But the clarity and basically the reality where I am at this point can help me to move forward. Because if I'm just driving blindly without knowing what is going on, or I'm afraid to look at that spot where my numbers are showing, then maybe today it will be okay. But tomorrow or day after, when the big projects are coming, or maybe some important event in your personal life is coming, then it will surprise you when you expect the least. So to be afraid of something, it's okay. I mean, that's a human personality. But mostly, I think that people are scared when they don't understand the thing. And that's also a human reality. In order to avoid those fears, or at least not avoid them, but face with them, we need to try to understand what is behind those numbers, how I get at this point, what should I do in order to achieve something or to fix something.
Yes. So, what numbers should we actually be paying attention to month?
Yes, so there are two things which are important. The first thing is the gross profit margin, what you are earning from the direct operations. And then you need to take a look at the net bottom line, net profit margin, what you have after you have paid all those overheads which are going on in your business, like utilities, your marketing, your payrolls, everything else. But that's not enough. What you need to take a look at, it's also our cash flow. Do we have enough cash on hand to run our operation smoothly? Because what I see very often is that business owners think that their profits are their cash, which is not correct, because sometimes we have a situation where no matter how profitable they have stuck money in unpaid receivables, or they have bad credit terms negotiated with their customers. So yes, they're going to take this money 3 months from now, but at this point, they don't have a cash to run their business. So cash flow and making a plan around the cash flow is very important if you want to know where you're going.
Another thing we can see is just paying yourself too much, bonusing yourself, or pulling out that affects your cash flow as well. What's one simple but powerful habit that you recommend for gaining control of cash flow? One way to think of that too would be when revenue is inconsistent. What's one way to start creating habit for gaining control of cash flow?
What I would recommend is make a weekly finance checklist. So you need to know every single week, sit down and take, let's say, 30 minutes, not more, review your numbers, see where you're getting money from and when that will happen. Also, what kind of expenses you're paying and when, because that will help you to control your cash flow. If you see that you are getting money from your clients later than what you need to pay, then you have a problem. And if you spot that problem on a weekly basis, it will save you time, energy, and money later on. So weekly checklist is what I recommend for everyone to have as their own toolkit when it comes to managing the cash flow.
So you often say too to know the stage of your business before making decisions. Can you kind of break that down for us?
Yes. So knowing at what stage in your business you are, it's very important because personally, I will tell you my personal story. When I was starting my first company, I was dreaming big, and that's okay. But I was making plans and I was hiring people that I don't need at this point simply because I don't know and I'm not aware of at what stage of my business I am. So If you are at the very beginning, you need to focus your money and your energy towards sales. You need to make more money to grow your business. You need to work on your setting a systems for good operations, but you don't need, let's say, HR manager because you don't have a team of people who that person needs to manage. And that's what I did at the very beginning. I thought, okay, I have a team of 5. I would hire someone who will take care of for my team because I don't have a time to do that, which was very costly and very bad decision. And costly because I was paying someone who was I don't need it to. And second, because I get far away from my team members and I've set a barrier that I shouldn't set. Because when you're a small team and working with a small group of people, you're here to talk to them, to take their feedback, to see what is not working. And if you have an HR in the middle between you and your team, it's not working. So HR, it's something that you need to hire later on. And that's why when I'm talking to my clients, the business owners, please let's sit down and see at what stage of your business you are. And now decide what you need to spend on and what you need to focus on, because each stage is different and requires different resources, different activities, and different amount of money for sure.
Mm. And how do you determine the different stages?
Yes, so that you can determine by, first of all, what is the number of your clients? How many clients do you have? What is the average monthly recurring revenue you're earning? Because if that's fluctuating, then you're obviously at the very beginning where you don't have set stable recurring revenue. How many people you have in your team? If you have 2 of them or 3 of them, then again, you're in that startup, some sort of startup stage of the business. But if you have 30 people in your company, you're making more than 1 million annual revenue, or you have a necessity to hire a C-level of person like CFO or I don't know, chief marketing officer, then you're obviously in a more mature phase.
Mm. Yeah. So being really intentional about where you are, what your business and your clients need, what it takes to serve your clients at that stage. And as you increase clients, you will increase the needs to service them. There are thresholds. And I guess it would be smart too to make some of those determinations, not that they won't change, because of course our businesses are always evolving, but to maybe even set some clear parameters around for yourself. Like, I'm going to hire this extra salesperson when we've reached this many clients and this much revenue, and making those decisions ahead of time to be able to support yourself in moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. And beyond that, you need to have a systems in place to support the new hires. Another thing that I'm seeing very often, businesses are starting very good, and then they're going into a phase of quick growth. And in that period of excitement, when they're getting more clients and more revenue, they're forgetting to build systems. And when I say systems, you need to have a protocol in place. How you're doing your work, how you're delivering your service, who is responsible for what. Do you have any processes in place in written? So if you don't have good systems in place to support the new hire, then when the new hire happens, it will be a mess. And I've seen that so many times.
And then
As
we
a
start
parent.
to blame either ourselves, or we blame the person, or we say, there's no good people out there, which is absolutely not true. But we have to set clear parameters so that not only do we know what we're looking for, what means success for this position, but that we're setting them up for it, and that person is very clear on what you believe will make this successful, so that they can make sure that they're delivering or deciding it's not for them. And a lot of that can be handled in the hiring process as well. But yeah, I think one of the main things that is so clear through our conversation is being intentional and clear, like clarity, intentionality, and structure. Doesn't mean it can't evolve and grow. We have to create some of this to support ourselves. Tell me, so you trained over 100 professionals and helped 50 plus accounting practices. Out of all of that, what do you wish more business owners knew about building a great financial support team?
Yes, the number one thing is from that experience I had is first of all, as I said, build a structure, build a proper systems in place, because if you don't have them, you will lose your way very easily. And second, invest in your team, because that's the main problem when the company starts growing. If you don't invest in your people, like in training programs, sharing your knowledge, making materials for education, and that's how basically I've started. I've started recording videos for my team members to learn how to do things. I've started to write work papers for my clients to be easier when I'm onboarding a new team member. And that's how I have slowly developed the systems in place with a training program that later on I've applied as a paid coaching program to another professionals who want to take that knowledge and achieve results. Invest in training programs and invest in your team members. It's number one priority if you want to grow healthy. And that's what I've learned so far working with so many US accounting practices and professionals who I've trained to work either as a freelancers or part of another international companies.
Yeah. So, what out of all of that, tell me, what's the biggest compliment you've ever received from a client?
Oh, the biggest compliment was, I trust you.
Mm.
And I trust you to that point that I don't need to check my numbers after you. And that was, to be honest, one of the biggest compliments that I've ever received, because what I believe is that trust is something that you build slowly. It's not something that you get at the very beginning. And when some person tells you, I trust you, that's for me is the biggest reward, because that means that that person feels safe, feel taken care of, and we have a good relationship that is based on trust, reliability, understanding each other, and so on.
Yes. And when you're talking about something as sensitive, many of us take it that way, right? As we talked about at the top of this conversation, how people don't want to really look at it. Everybody wants money, but they're afraid to look at it too much or don't want to talk about it as much. And so for someone to feel trust with you, with their finances in that way has to be so rewarding. But also, it's rewarding for the client because you've taken the mysticism and the like discomfort around their finances and brought clarity and trust and openness. And I think that's so powerful.
Yes, and when you feel comfortable with someone, when you say to someone, I trust you, you mean I know what is going on. And that clarity that you're mentioning is very important, because now I'm at the point when I know what is going on with my business. I don't have blind spots. I know where I'm good at and where I'm bad at. And most importantly, I have someone who is holding my back if something goes wrong, someone who will be here to support me and tell me what I'm making wrong to stop doing that moving forward.
Yeah. That is the power of mentorship and coaching is having an experienced, knowledgeable person in your corner that is able to support you because We're always going to have blind spots of our own. I have them. I'm sure you have them. We do, and we do our best, but they're ours. And so, of course, we're just too close to it to always see. So it's so helpful to have someone that is knowledgeable, objective, and so supportive to shine a light on those blind spots and on those dark spaces. I love that. Well, tell us, is there one more thing you'd like to leave our audience before we close?
Yes, I would love to say everyone who is listening, before you start entering into a business or start this entrepreneurial journey, please consider your why you're doing this. Because there will be a lot of bad times, a lot of challenges, a lot of unslept nights, a lot of sacrifices that you're going to make along the way. And if you don't know why you're doing this, what is your passion to do this, then it will be much harder. So whatever you're doing, think about that, why you are here, and it will be much more easier.
Yes. The why is very important. And also, what I love about what you just said and what we talk about here at the Self Trust Solution often is anticipating all that discomfort, anticipating that it's going to be hard, anticipating it's going to be uncomfortable, slower than we want it to be. We're not going to know as many things as we thought we did, or we're going to know more on the other side. We're going to know more than we thought we did. And all of it is so important to normalize so that, yes, connect to your why, normalize that the discomfort's going to come so that you don't end up thinking that that's a sign to quit or to beat yourself up. But just this is part of it, and get the support you need so that you know your numbers, so that you bring clarity instead of avoidance to a key piece of your business and of making it successful.
Embrace this journey with your both hands because it will help you to transform yourself. You will discover a lot of things for yourself that you didn't know you can do it.
What will you take away from today's episode? Here are 4 of my favorites. First is avoiding your numbers doesn't make the problem go away. In fact, facing them with clarity gives you the confidence to move forward. Second, know the numbers that matter most: your gross profit margin, net profit margin, and most critically, your cash flow. Third, build habits that simplify finances. A simple weekly financial check-in can prevent overwhelm and give you the clarity to make smarter decisions. And finally, match your strategy to your stage. Be intentional about where your business is so you don't waste resources on hires or systems before you need them. Numbers don't need to be a source of fear or shame. When you face them with clarity and strategy, they become one of your greatest tools for growth and sustainability. Anastasia, thank you for bringing so much wisdom and calm to a topic most of us would rather avoid. If you want to connect with Anastasia, you'll find links to her website and LinkedIn in the show notes. And if this episode sparked something for you, please rate, review, and share it so more entrepreneurs and leaders can build the clarity and confidence they need. And as always, remember, self-trust is your greatest strategic advantage. Inside every goal is a decision, an action, an evaluation, and an adjustment. Keep building your rhythm with the Self-Trust Solution. Subscribe, leave a review, and explore how we can work together at theselftrustcoach.com. I'll see you in the next episode.